John Lee with St. Louis Real Estate Investors Association. Here with members and guests. If it's your first time, we welcome you. If you're a repeat guest like most of us are, welcome back. And we are here to have our special guest, Katharyn Davis, today, our attorney. She was originally had something else planned, and because of some scheduling conflicts, I guess, she's here to join us. So we're very happy to see Kathy here. And she's got a big event coming up here Tuesday also, which may be of some real good benefit for some of our members here. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I want to welcome Kathy. And Kathy, you want to get us started here?
Yeah, hi everybody. I hope everybody's doing good and enjoying the cooled off weather. I know that I am. So I was supposed to do John and Laura and I um are all part of the Housing Coalition, which was started by the realtors and the apartment association participates. And it was in response to various wild ideas that were being proposed at one point by the Board of Aldermen in the city of St. Louis. And we were not formed to oppose them, but more to inform them about what the consequences of various things that they were thinking of doing would be. And we had several successful meetings over the last couple of years. We had a lobbyist Maureen, who we fortunately no longer have, but she was really good. People from the city government came and spoke to us and sometimes listened to us. Um, I think we headed off something at the pass last year when they said they were going to just plunk people out from homelessness without any services and stick them in apartments. And I pointed out that they would just be getting evicted right away, right? you know, almost immediately if they didn't have some transitional assistance. And I think they've kind of backed off that idea a little bit, or maybe put more thought into giving those folks services to help them get acclimated um, to not living at the bus stop, to having neighbors and that kind of thing. Because if I know one thing my landlords are going to do, it's the tenant that's driving everybody in the building crazy. You're going to be calling us, and we're going to be filing a suit saying interference with the quiet enjoyment of other tenants. Because of course those folks have rights too, and the right to a peaceful enjoyment of their premises and everything. And if you have someone in there who is not ready to be in a multifamily living situation, it can be very problematic. So, tough problem, with the unhoused, but um, the straight to housing thing, I think, was not going to work by itself. They needed other help. The other thing that was going on is, we've been kind of looking to Kansas City to see what shenanigans they get up to there. Because they're a couple of steps ahead of us on the crazy. And they had passed an ordinance that said you could not deny someone um, your apartment because they were getting Section 8. And the city followed along and did that. Now, our solution there was not with our Housing Solutions Coalition, it was with the Missouri legislature, which passed a bill this year, and the governor signed it, that said that local municipalities cannot do that. So you are now again able to decline to take Section 8 as a rental source in the city of St. Louis, and in fact everywhere. And I will say that Section 8 is, some landlords love it. We have landlords who do work very well with it, and they get guaranteed rent, and there's social workers that will help their tenant, and it works for them. There are other landlords who it doesn't work for them. The additional paperwork, the bureaucracy, extra inspections is just not where they want to be with respect to doing it. But I'm glad that the choice is back in your hands again. I think that's important. We actually get along pretty well with the housing authority in the city right now. We're friends with the in-house lawyer, and that's going pretty well for us at this point. But that could change again, so you never know. And we could go back to the adversarial relationship. But they have certainly been known in the past to do some silly things. Right now, like I said, everything seems to be going along nicely, but there have been times in the past when having a tenant with that kind of government assistance could be a huge pain in the butt for the landlord. What else have I got? There's a new case that came down from the Court of Appeals, and I want to tell you that this is very unusual for us in the landlord cases. The landlord cases are so small, and the cost of an appeal is, really 10 grand and up. There's a lot of picky stuff you have to do, order the record, write a brief, oral argument, it's a lot of work. So it's very difficult for us to do this in any kind of cost-effective way in a residential tenancy situation. Well, fortunately, or unfortunately, as the case may be, this case, even though it was a residential eviction, got appealed to the Court of Appeals. The tenant, I think, must have gotten a pro bono lawyer. I did not recognize the name of the lawyer, but they must have gotten someone volunteering to do this to make it cost effective. And it's all about service in unlawful detainers. This tenant, we always thought the law was that if the tenant came into court, sometimes you only have posting service, and then you can only get a possession judgment, right? We've all talked about that. Well, this tenant only had posting service, but she came into court and filed pleadings and that kind of thing. I always thought the law was that once they came to court, it was like they had been served personally. They had availed themselves of the court. They knew about the court date. They were subject to it. And I think that's what the attorneys for the landlord in this case thought. Well, it turned out that the first thing the tenant had filed was an objection to the service. And the Court of Appeals decided that that was valid. And even though she participated in other parts of the case, that her objection to service was still good. And that the service on very technical unlawful detainer grounds had been bad. When we get a summons issued, an unlawful detainer, we can't post at the same time. We have to show that we've tried to personally serve and we have been unable to. Now, sometimes, we will ask our special process server, hey, if you can't find them right away, give me back a non-est return that you can't serve them so that I can get my publication service fast and I don't have to wait, an extra month. And sometimes that works. In this case, apparently they didn't do it. They didn't have a return of not being able to personally serve. And apparently they didn't get the judge to sign off on the subsequent order of publication request for service. And you should know in an unlawful detainer, it's called order of publication, but it's pretty much the same as posting in a rent and possession. So they had some small technical defaults with the service. And a third thing that happened was when we get a summons, there's a day by which we can send it out. We can't send it out before that day to our special or to the sheriff. The sheriffs, I think, kind of know what that day is, but some specials don't know or they missed it. Well, this paper was set that it could have been sent out March 5th, but the special mailed it on March 4th, and that was held to be a default in service. These are very technical grounds. I'm not happy about this. It's a reminder to all the lawyers in my firm and to everybody to pay attention to those technical details. We probably wouldn't have done something like that. We're very aware of having to try to personally serve first and then post, and we don't send our summonses out early, but it's a caution to me that the Court of Appeals is looking that pickily at this kind of stuff. I don't know what the disadvantage was to the tenant since they showed up for court and had a chance to provide their case and everything. There's another case going on right now that's not at the Court of Appeals, but anything could happen. And this is a case where another attorney evicted the person out of the wrong apartment. Bad. That's bad to do. So they evicted the wrong person. What happens in an eviction in the city and the county? The sheriff comes and kicks you out and changes the locks. We don't know what happened to their belongings. This is a story that we were told in court earlier this week, because court is really like gossip central for the lawyers. We're just all hanging out telling each other stories. But yeah, so we occasionally get a referral from a client where the client has written down the wrong address, or the address on the form they send us is different than the address on the lease. So if you're wondering why we're very picky about getting the form and getting the lease and having all that stuff. It's because we want to check everything so that we don't evict someone out of the wrong apartment and get everybody sued. So it's important to be very careful with these picky things. It's interesting to me that the Court of Appeals was this picky, though, and it's definitely kind of a new direction in the law. And I think in the 40 years that I've been doing this, we have moved more from anything goes for the landlord to, oh, wait, the tenant has rights too. And there's more pickiness and more chances to get continuances and all that kind of stuff. So John was so kind as to mention the thing I'm doing on Tuesday at the apartment association, which is in the in there with the realtors on Olive. I think he's going to try to send out an email about it, or you can go to the apartment association website and look. If you're a member of the apartment association, it's $25. If you're not, it's 50, pretty cheap. It's going to be 3 hours. And I'm going to cover all the topics and answer people's questions and maybe even have a couple of guests come by to say hello to people. So if you'd like more in-depth talking about the stuff I already talk about, come on over. If not, I'll keep seeing you here about once a month. And it also gets, I'm not really sure if I understand exactly what these credits are for. But you get you get 3 credits for maybe if you have a real estate license.
Yeah, they're probably continuing education credits would be that's what it looked
Yeah.
like. Yeah.
So you'll get 3 credits of whatever it is they're giving you credits for. I wish I knew more about that, but yeah, or you will just come there and have fun. Maybe there'll be donuts, who knows.
It'd be a great learning experience though. And I tell you, the on location meetings are just invaluable in my
Really
opinion.
good, yeah.
You know, as far as you get to meet people and like yourself, and it just puts things to a different level. And I did
Yeah,
just
and you
put the link in there too in the chat.
oh, thanks, John. And you might meet other landlords that you have, commonality with and that kind of thing. So I hope y'all can come. And so then it's time for the part where I say, does anybody have any questions? And you ask me your questions, and I make stuff up. So
I want to hear more about the gossip in the courtrooms. That
oh
sounds
my God, attorneys are the worst, I swear to you. Except for maybe judges, they're really bad.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall in half of those conversations.
I'm telling you.
I'd like to know why Judge Judy is looming over Dave Soto's shoulder.
Is that Judge Judy in the background there,
Judge
Dave?
Judy, yes.
Oh my goodness.
So
we were at a bar association thing once at the lake and we had a trivia thing. And one of the questions was, who is the judge that most Americans have heard of? And it was Judge Judy.
So the story is that last year, one of my employees found out that I'm a big fan of Judge Judy. My favorite thing she says is if it doesn't make sense, it's not true. So I always use that. So for Christmas, and this is how long I've been waiting to do this, Kathy. I haven't been on the same time as you since this year, this first time this year.
Yeah.
But for
Nice to
Christmas,
see
they
you.
got me this cutout of Judge Judy. So Judge Judy hangs around the office and she pops up in the most amazing places and scares the hell out of a lot of people. I'm walking out of the bathroom, she's standing right there at the door. Coming around the corner, she's right there. And it's been a lot of fun. But I think they regret getting me the cutout of Judge Judy. So
That's funny. So
Looks
You can learn a lot from Judge Judy, though. I watch her to find out who the players are because that's what she does. She analyzes the people, and I use that all the time on how, her kind of logic behind it. A lot of people say it's a goofy little show, but I think it's a learning show myself.
well, I think about 90% of the time, real court is like watching paint dry. But there is that 10% of the time when something bizarre happens and we have a good time. I'm sure some of you have probably heard of the sovereign citizens.
Oh boy.
Yeah, yeah. So we had sovereign citizens last year in the city, and I talked to them on the docket call, and they didn't want to admit what their names were or anything. So I called up in front of the judge, and I said, Judge, these people answered on this case, but they don't want to say that they're the defendants. And what do you want me to do? And the judge told them, are you these people? And said the names, and they were, waffling about it. And she said, well, if you're not those people, I'm going to give Miss Davis a default. So they finally agreed that they were those people. So we set it for trial. They refused to sign the trial memo, which is a typical move. And I don't think they realize how bad that makes them look. It's like you're being stupid. But apparently the following week they came back for trial. Chris was there and I wasn't. And they told the judge that she would have to retake her judicial oath in front of them. And you know what the judge's response was? Judgment for plaintiff. You can only push a judge so far. But we get them, I feel like more than we used to. And they, they do all this weird stuff. They won't sign their name. They have to use a thumbprint, and the flag doesn't have fringe on it, or it does. And I mean, it's just really strange. And I think with the internet, they can transmit these kooky ideas faster than they used to be able to. And, it's bizarre. I had a guy once that I was kind of following his cases for a while because he was renting houses to people that he did not own. He was claiming that he was the owner by sovereign citizen. And I mean, we had this happen like 4 or 5 different times to different clients. And I used to keep a folder on him so that I could tell the judge, look, this is this guy again, and here's all the other cases. And I looked him up recently, and he has a new residence in the Missouri correctional system. So he should not be renting places to people anymore. But this is one of the reasons why we have that law that says that if you buy a building, you have to send the tenants a copy of the deed and the instructions on where to send the rent so that they will know that you're the legitimate owner. Now, this does not stop people from faking deeds, but it's somewhat helpful. So if we're on you about that, if you call us and say, I bought this building, and we're saying, did you send them a letter with the deed? That's why, because it's a law, because of trying to help to prevent the fraud.
That makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
It does.
It's sad that you have to do it, but yeah. Anybody else got anything?
Amber's got a question in the chat
Okay.
here. Amber, are you able to
I didn't look at the
unmute
chat.
yourself?
Wait, where's my chat? Oh, I see it. Oh God, it went to the bottom. Okay, sorry.
That's good. I think she's looking for a recommendation. I don't know if you can see that there.
A lawyer in Kansas City. Okay, I'm not 100% sure this woman does transactional, but she's the really good landlord lawyer in Kansas City. Her name is Julie Anderson, and her telephone number is 816-931-2207. And I think it's possible, if Julie can't help you, that she'll know someone who can on that side of the state.
Yeah, is she the one that does Kansas and Missouri there? The one you were with last year?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
she's very good, very knowledgeable.
Yeah, I did that panel with her last year and you guys
Yes.
came. Remember that?
Yeah,
She
that
was
was
very
excellent.
serious and I just kept cracking jokes.
Well, you gave out sharks and she gave out information.
Right. Hey, I had some information too, but
Oh, you did. You have the best information for us. Absolutely.
you.
Yes.
But yeah, she's really good, and we send people back and forth to each other all the time.
Yeah, it's very good. I tell you, that's one of the best presentations out there too, honestly, that we had.
Thank you.
It was very good. I can still keep the shark on my dashboard. He goes with us everywhere.
Yeah. Well, I hope everybody has a great week. Thank you, Tony, for your nice words in the chat, now that I finally brought the chat up. And it's nice to see you, Dave. I feel like we haven't seen you in a little while. And are we completely done with the CTA? And more detail. What's the CTA?
Corporate Transparency.
I haven't heard anything new about it. Have you?
No.
I will look that up later today. I have somewhere in my notes the case that where it most recently got overturned in Texas, and I'll look that up on Pacer and find out if there's been any news on that. But I'm pretty sure I would have heard if there was.
Okay, thank you, Kathy.
Okay, thanks, guys. I'll see
Thank
you
you.
next month. Have a great month, and maybe I'll see some of you Tuesday. I hope you can come.
Yep. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank
We'll
you,
go ahead and
Kathy.
get the word out.
Bye.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Kathy. All right. Always good to have Kathy here coming to visit us. So yeah, if you're available on Tuesday, I would highly recommend that. It's understanding, I put it in the chat, understanding the landlord tenant law. Kathy will get into some more details, and like we kind of talked about, that is a good place to kind of see who's doing things in the St. Louis area. I always like those events to rub shoulders with people, and you can find out a lot. And anyway, a lot of things that you can't find out virtually. And you also get some CE credits if you happen to be a realtor that needs credits, because I know we all, with our professional licenses, need those credits to stay current. So anyway, there's that in there, and
Hey, John, I pulled
I'm
up the
sorry.
website. I don't see where it says anything about CE.
Well, that was on her email, and I thought it was in there too. Okay, well, that's what they told us there.
Okay.
I'm assuming it is what they told us. I didn't go look at the website very thoroughly, so I will do that later. But
Hey John,
you'll
oh,
get some good. Huh?
hey John, I went on the Mayor's website. I didn't see it in there under classes um, for realtors, so I was going
Okay.
to give them a call.
Yeah, they could probably clarify it more for you then. That's just what I know is what I gave you here. So, all right. Anybody have anything that they'd like to share with us today? Anybody buying or selling anything?
Do you want me to do the
Oh
disclaimer?
yeah, we could probably go ahead and yeah, sorry, Laura. If you want to give your disclaimer before we get started. I get kind of excited sometimes when Kathy comes on. So yes, please.
All right. Good morning and welcome, everyone. First, I'd like to do a bit of housekeeping. Feel free to unmute yourself when it's your turn to speak. Please be mindful of everyone else by muting yourself while others are speaking. You're welcome to put any contact information that you want to share into the chat. We meet here to share deals, look for deals and solutions we have in need with our real estate. We are not your financial advisors, attorney, or accountants. We do not endorse or recommend any specific solutions or contractors here. You're advised to do your own due diligence to your own satisfaction before you invest. The first Friday of each month is Ask the Attorney with Ms. Katharyn Davis. Our meetings are typically recorded, so only share what you want others to know.
Thank you, Laura. Now I guess we can officially start. All right.
John, real quick.
Yeah, Eric. Hey.
I came in kind of late. I know I got on the last end of it that something is supposed to be happening on Tuesday for realtors or whatever it is. Or can you
Yeah,
put it for
yeah,
me?
yeah, Eric. I'll put that back in the chat. It's going to be at the place where we used to meet at the St. Louis area Realtor Building, and let's see. Yeah, there we go. It's yeah, Katharyn Davis. She is she's going to be the speaker on understanding landlord tenant law, and it's going to be it's a 3-hour event that they have scheduled. So there's more information. I put a link in there too. So if you want to find out, we were talking about the CE credits, and I don't know, that might be questionable. I know most of us, we just want the information, but if you are, you can check into it a little bit more if you need the continuing education hours. So. All right. Anybody have anything that they're working on, they're buying and selling? Anybody need any recommendations? Any referrals? See a lot of good smiling faces out there, some familiar ones.
Hey, John, I can ask a question.
Sure.
I am closing on a property on Tuesday, my first building. And I heard Kathy talking about it. I had just provided my information over to the current owner, but as the next owner, I missed what she said about providing a deed. I think she said a deed and, information of where they send the rent to and all of that. Is that all she said? And can someone else speak to that if they've experienced this before?
Well, that was my understanding. Dave, do you know anything more about the what we should do detail wise?
Yeah. Does it have a current tenant?
Yes, there's 2 tenants. So I should have mentioned that too. So although I'm a seasoned investor, I've never bought a property with tenants in it. So it is a mixed use building. So downstairs there's commercial and upstairs there is residential, and both of them are occupied.
Okay, so I'm not sure, not too concerned about the commercial side. I don't think it applies, but for residential, yes, Missouri law states that when there's a change of ownership, you have to provide a copy of the deed to the tenant. If you don't, then they don't have to pay rent. And there's already been a case where a tenant has been in a property for a number of months, not paying rent. And because that wasn't provided to them, the judge did not evict them. They said they weren't required to pay rent. So it's just a simple copy of the deed and instructions on where to pay the rent.
Thank you.
Good to know. Thank you, Dave.
She'll probably go over that type of thing, I would guess, at her thing on Tuesday, you think?
I would believe so, yeah.
I would
That's
imagine,
something that you do want to probably check too. Earlier, not too long ago this year, we had a house down Park Hills that was vacant and they had it for sale. Well, somebody from another state came in there from a Nevada LLC and actually hired a local attorney. He started a company with our same name out in Nevada. So it matched up on the deed and we didn't find it out. I found it out just by just by chance, by looking at stuff and then talked to the actual broker. He actually put it up for sale and was trying to sell it at a really low price. And I don't know what the final deal was going to be, but he got the guy to go out there and take pictures and advertise it and all kinds of stuff. And after thumbing through it, what we ended up doing is I talked to a local attorney and we got he gave me a actual deed that a deed of trust to actually fill out. And that's something you may want to consider on some of your properties. I've never had that happen like that. I mean, we've all heard about people stealing properties, but this was one where he actually created a company with our same name out there, Heartland Hideaways LLC, which was kind of interesting because that's the only other one in the country that we know of. So that's just something to be aware of. And it's probably a good idea to maybe check your things once in a while. And, you know, we've heard of people renting homes that weren't theirs and just taking the initial money up front. So but what she was saying, what you were talking about here, Dave, that's another little thing to be aware of. So a lot of crafty thieves out there, I guess, creative people.
when is a contract legally binding? Is that at the closing table, or is it when you sign the DocuSign?
Well, I think the DocuSign gets you in the door. I think it's legally binding when you actually go to the title company and actually fill out the papers. Is that what your understanding is, Dave? Do you have? I mean, that's what I always thought.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's once everybody signed, both parties have signed, then it's legal. I'm not an attorney, I'm just saying.
No, my question is, are you legally bound? I thought there was a time period after you do a DocuSign before it's legally binding.
So that is for residential.
Yeah.
Yeah, for your own personal property, your residential, your residence. Yes, there is a window where it's not really in effect until, and I don't know the time period, is 24 hours or something like that. But as far as our investment properties, that doesn't apply.
Okay, but so the time period is 24 hours.
I believe it's 24 hours. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, on sales, from what I remember, on a straight sale, it was 1 day right of rescission, and then on like a refinance, you had a 3-day right of rescission, and I believe that's a federal law. If you know, I'd have to go back and look at, but I think that's what it is. I know I have gone from getting quiet titles on properties when I cleared the titles up. I have gone directly from the title company to the real estate office and put it up for sale before it was recorded, and that was okay. But that was a little different. That wasn't in a sale. So I think you do have the 24 hours though on a sale, no matter what. That's just my understanding. You
Okay.
check with the title company too. I mean, they're usually very helpful.
All right. Thank you.
Or if you're in Dave's office, you can check with Judge Judy right there too.
Hey, St. Louis County has their own Judge Judy.
I think everybody has a Judge Judy out there somewhere.
I was in court with her and she introduced herself that day with a chuckle. Hey, I'm Judge Judy. Except this one was corrupt.
Well, the judge usually has the final word, so it's always good to be nice to him. In my opinion, anyway.
Well, that's always true. But at the end of it, she told me, thinking I was going to appeal, she said, you can't appeal for 10 days. And the actual law was you have to appeal within 10 days.
Hmm.
So I waited 10 days and I was stuck.
Was that on a landlord tenant situation, Bobby?
Right. The tenant actually moved out with all my furniture. I was renting to an insurance company, Farmers. And they immediately moved in a daycare. And I says, you can't do that. And so he moved out and took my furniture because it was staged for the insurance company. And Judge Judy awarded him damages, even though he was proven to have stolen things with a policeman present. So anyway,
But that's a kind of an unusual situation.
no kidding.
Wow. So did you get your stuff back?
Partly.
Partly.
When I realized that he left, I called the insurance company, I called the tenant, I called the police. And when the policeman got there with me, he was sitting in my driveway on the back of his trunk in defiance. And then he had me served, took me to court for not giving him quiet access to the property. And that's when I faced Judge Judy.
Was that city or county?
County.
County. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I still got paid by the insurance company, but essentially, I mean, she still gave a $2,500 judgment against me, and $1,000 against the tenant. And I said, this makes no sense. What I figured out was she was giving him back his deposit. I mean, not that any money changed hands over it, but it's still on CaseNet. And I guess it just gave him satisfaction. But it is strange.
That's a weird one.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, just when you think you heard it all, there's always a new one. I'll tell you that.
Well, maybe other people have faced this when a couple of times when trying to deal with a tenant, a woman, they don't get what they want, and they start saying sexual abuse, sexual abuse, sexual harassment, and so you can't go to the property because. So I'd like to evict because I can't risk that. And I should have brought that up when Kathy was there. I'll bring it up Tuesday.
Yeah, that's a good one to ask it because that's a little bit more personal than most of them are. I don't know how that would actually play out, but that's why it's always good to have a attorney on your side, and that's one reason we really like Kathy coming in here because you can kind of get an informal response to a lot of things that you're going through, and then if you need to go to court and take that stuff, you could actually. She has great recommendations if it's something she can't do. But as far as most landlord tenant law, Kathy is probably one of the best in our area. And that's who I highly recommend. And I know she's given us a lot of referrals for other things. She's actually my go-to attorney anytime I need anything, even if I know she can't do it because she knows everybody and she'll give you a really good recommendation. So
yeah, I've used her before.
So,
that's one reason why I'm looking for property managers. I just don't want to put up with that stuff anymore.
yeah, it's a lot more to deal with when you do it yourself. That's for sure. All right. Anybody got anything that they're working on? Anybody got anything for sale? I got a lot of emails this week about stuff for sale, and they might already be sold because I invited a couple people. I don't see them on here. I can't see everything probably. But they said if it wasn't sold or they didn't have a contract, they would be here, and I don't see them. So one of them was kind of interesting. It was an owner financing for investors, which I thought was interesting. They had it was in a part, I believe, of North St. Louis, but they wanted, I think it was 65 or $6,700 down. And then no credit check and no documents at all, which I found that was kind of odd because I would always want documents and I would want them to fill out an application no matter who they are, you know. So owner financing, we do a lot of that, but it just I know there's a lot of dots you got to dot or I's you got to dot and a lot of T's you got to cross to make sure you have it done right. And the way we've done that is because the way we've developed the way we were is because of the things that didn't work out over the years. And because you don't know until you don't know. And when you do know. So we are going to be doing an owner financing master class coming up here in September. So you can always check back in here to find out when exactly it is. Looks like it's going to be the second or third week in September, depending on a couple of other things that we have going. But that's going to be a pretty high level workshop that we're going to do. And we're going to show you some of the details of what we've learned over the years. So. Well, Dave jumped off. Well, bye, Dave. Always good to have him here. They give us a lot of good insight, and he's in with a lot of the legal things with the state of Missouri too, in a lot of the organizations. So, always good to have another voice here of what we can and can't do. Anybody else got anything they want to share with us today?
Yeah, I have a couple things. This is Terry with St. Patrick's Center.
Hi, Terry.
Hi. So I'm not sure if everybody knows what St. Patrick's Center does, but we work with individuals that are homeless or at risk for becoming homeless. So if you'd like to develop a relationship in helping to house our unhoused neighbors, you can contact me at 314-400-1419. And my email is tbrown@stpatrickcenter.org. And also the VA, the Veterans Administration, is having two big, huge events this month, August the 14th and August the 21st. So if you're landlords and you want to help to house veterans, we're trying to get as many veterans off the streets as possible. If you're interested in attending that as a vendor, you can send me your email and I can forward you the link to be able to sign up for that.
Okay, what were those dates, Terry?
August the 14th and August the 28th. No, wait. That's wrong. August the 21st and August the 28th. Is that what I said?
Okay, 21st and 28th?
Right.
Okay.
So I don't have that information like right with me, and I'm headed to a meeting in about 10 minutes. So I just wanted to bring that up real quick.
Okay. And what was your contact information again? And if you don't mind putting it in the chat.
I'm sort of kind of like I can't do it right now. That's why I was kind of, yeah.
Okay.
So the phone number is 314-400-1419.
Okay.
And my email address is tbrown@stpatrickcenter.org.
patrickcenter.org. Okay. Thank you, Terry. Maybe you could come on next week and give us a link to where we could go sign up for that. That would be great.
Yeah, I could do that. Or like I said, if you want, if anybody is on the call that wants it now, I can forward you the information.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you, Terry.
Is that email St. Patrick's Center with an S, St. Patrick's, or just
No S.
No S.
Just just tbrown@stpatrick, like the name Patrick, no
Okay.
S, center.org.
All right. Great. Thank you, Terry.
You're welcome.
All right. All right, let's see. Anybody else have anything you'd like to share with us here? Good conversations. A
Hey,
lot of good
John.
events coming up. Yes.
This is Blake Silverman. It's nice
Hey,
to see
Blake.
all of you. I've got a little mold situation going on at one of my properties in Dutchtown. If anybody has a reliable referral over for a restoration company, that would be great.
Okay, what are you looking for exactly, Blake?
So this, to my knowledge, this is what's going on is there's, with the humidity out right now, it's the condensation from one of the ductworks. It's just causing some moisture from, the back of the drywall. So we're gonna need to rip out some drywall, do some plaster work. And there's a tenant in there right now, so time is definitely of the essence.
Okay. All right. And what's the best way for somebody to get a hold of you, Blake?
Let's do my cell phone 636-489-8353.
8353. I got 636-489-8355.
You got it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. And if you don't mind putting that in the chat too, that'd be
Yeah,
very
will do.
Yeah. And that was Dogtown, you said. Is that correct, Blake?
Dutchtown.
Dutchtown. I'm sorry. Dutchtown. Okay. There is a difference. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, this property's been giving me a little bit of trouble recently. It's just been these past 6 months, one thing after another.
It seems like that's how it works. You'll have out of 10 properties, you always have that one that seems like it just keeps waking you up at night.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else have anything? Walls. Nobody has nothing for sale today, huh? Anybody looking for anything? A lot of people's kind of quiet right now, kind of waiting to see what happens with a lot of the real estate. I think it's a great time. This is a really good time. I don't know, we've done some stuff on the tax sales a couple of times. I don't know if people are out getting right now, but every county in Missouri has their list available. So I know I've been busy the last few days, and if you're on Attorney Dale Sweet's email list, he sent out the things on some information on St. Louis City and County within the last week or so. And so those will be coming up. St. Louis County is doing the sealed bid again, which I personally don't like, but that's where you just, if there's a property on the list, you send them in, you bid on it, you send them in your money, certified funds, and then they let you know if you won or not. And then if you didn't win the bid, they send it back. This is a lot different than what they used to do with the in-person auctions, because you could kind of see what other people were bidding and who they are, but you can't do that with the sealed bids. So I personally don't like that myself. All the other counties, as far as I know, still have the in-person auctions where you can go bid in person. Now I believe you have to have 10% of the money immediately, and then you have to have the rest of the money by the same business day, or depends on the county, in certified funds too. So you pretty much need to do your due diligence up front and know what you're bidding on. But that's coming up just a few weeks, but this is a great time because all the lists are out right now.
Is the list online, I guess?
I don't know about St. Louis City and County because that's not areas that I look at, but a lot of them are online. Now, in Madison County, Missouri, where we're at down here, Bobby, they don't put anything online. You have to go in the office and pick it up. And we stopped by the other day and she didn't have it there. She said they sent it to the newspaper, which was down the street. So we had to go down there and buy a 9-page newspaper for $2, which I was surprised at. They would cost that much for such a little paper. But we do have the list. And interesting thing about the smaller county, the Madison down here, this year they probably only had maybe 15 people on there, and they're all first year. So there is no second and third year tax sales, which is very interesting to me. So But then some of the counties, they already do have their over-the-counter properties on there. The ones that did not sell after the third year tax sale, which is, as we've talked about, that's 5 years of back taxes. And there are a lot of them, you have to check because it is county by county, but a lot of those do sell over the counter. And they should have some more coming up here too. And then again, depending on the county, some of them have their list out right away, and then some of them don't get them out for actually a few months, several months on some of them, till they actually make them available. But those are some of, in my opinion, some of the great opportunities for you to get properties for not very much money. But you do need to use your due diligence on those. Make sure in fact, especially with St. Louis City and St. Louis County, and then I know Kansas City is another one, that they get into a lot of different things. So you'll want to have a good attorney on your side if you do go to buy anything at the auctions.
Do you need to have an attorney involved from the beginning?
You can buy, you don't ever have to have an attorney involved. If you're going to get a quiet title though, it's highly recommended that you do. I would just do your due diligence up front. That's normally how I deal with them. And I personally don't buy at the auctions because of all the other stuff that, that you have to deal with. But I like to deal with them over the counter. Are the people. This is a great time in my opinion to deal with people before they get to the auction. We've personally gotten many properties people gave us for free that were coming up to the auctions, and not even just the third year auction, which is 5 years of back taxes, but the first and second year, which a lot of people don't look at. That's also a good strategy a lot of people use to make interest on your money. Because you can go and you can go to the auction, pay somebody else's taxes. Then if and when they redeem, they have to pay you back, and it's like 9% interest too. We got somebody want to say something there? Somebody unmute themselves by mistake. That happens. All right.
What due diligence is important for a tax sale? Just checking the property out, or what do you mean?
Yeah, making sure it's a real property too. Dale Sweets talked a lot about, when he's talked to us about people that have actually bought properties, because they'll give you an address where it goes to, and sometimes it's an alley or just a little piece of a property. It's not always what it says on there. So, the legal description you have to be very careful of, because I know that in the rural areas, they do that too. I bought a lot of properties that were just little slivers of property next to somebody, because you think you're buying one thing, and you just have to be careful what you're actually getting. That's another reason I like to buy them over the counter, or deal with the people directly, because it's a little bit easier in my, again, that's my opinion. Everybody has a different strategy, but on how to get the properties and really know what you're getting. There's other stuff you need to check into also, such as HOA or POA back fees. That's can be a big deal. That can be a deal breaker. A lot of the lake and camping lots we've bought over the years, most of the time, if they're not paying their taxes, they're not paying other stuff, especially like those fees. And those people, sometimes you can negotiate with them, sometimes you can't. Sometimes they have a flat fee, sometimes they waive them all. But that's very important stuff to know, because if you buy a back tax property for $500 or $600, something like that, but then it has maybe $3,500 in back fees, that could be a deal breaker in my opinion. Now, if you're buying the property strictly for your own use or something like that, it might be a great deal still. So, but that's just some of the stuff, just a couple of things you really need to look out for.
You're going to do another tax appeal training?
We just had that one with Scott Walterbach when he came in town, and we don't have anything planned right now. I know he does one every year. But we don't have anything on the schedule right now, Bobby.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. This is a good time to get out there. If you're all interested in that type of investing, it's a really good time to get your information, because after the tax sales, they usually take all that off the websites. And some of them you do need to call. Some people, some of the websites have emails where you can email them and ask them for the list. Some of them you have to physically go in the office though. I know that's the small county we're in down here, Madison, is like that. You have to physically go in the office. And then like I was just saying, she didn't even have them in the office yet. So I had to go get them from the newspaper. So, but they're supposed to publicize them in a public place. Typically, traditionally, that has been a newspaper and a local paper. So that's something you'll just need to find out on whatever county that you're dealing with. All 115 counties, though, they do have their sale on the same day. So that's another thing. Unless you have a representative in each area, you probably physically can't be in more than one auction at a time. At least I haven't figured out how to clone myself yet, and I don't know anybody that has. All right. Anybody else have anything today?
Hey, John.
Yeah, John.
You had mentioned last year that possibly doing a bus tour this year. Is that anything you're still thinking about, or possibly not?
You know, we do still have that on the kind of on the back burner, John. There's been a lot of things that you know has come a lot of things that had happened, and we just hadn't been able to nail it down as far as that goes. But that's something we do have on the back burner.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, in fact, if you want to send me a message on that, just refresh my memory, you know, just so I can have it written down, I'll go ahead and look into that some more too, John.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, it'd be nice to know what kind of interest there was out there in doing that.
Yeah, that's a great point, Laura. We did, yeah, because before we did have a lot of it set up. It's a lot of moving parts to get together to do something like that. But we really enjoy it, and I think everybody gets a lot out of it. But also that you know we would like to have enough people and enough interest, like you said, Laura, to make it to where it's worthwhile, because otherwise it gets pretty expensive to do that. And we don't want to have it where it costs an arm and a leg to just go look at some properties and learn from some people. But it does, you know, by the time you buy pay for the bus and all the things that go with that, you just need to make sure it's worthwhile for us. All right. Anybody else have anything today? Not, I will have the replay up on YouTube by midnight tonight. That's always my rule before I go to bed. It's usually a lot sooner, but it just depends on what happens. But if nothing else, do mark your calendar for Kathy's event on Tuesday. If you're able to go, that's a great event for not very much money. And if not, we will be here next Friday as always. And thank you everybody for coming in. And we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.